Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? Whoop. Hold up. What's up, everybody? Hello. How y'all doing? You having a nice evening? Excited for some modeling today? Okay. Is the mic okay? Is the sound coming through? Let me turn down the music a little bit. Alright. Okay, so for those that don't know, my name is Onua and I'll be hosting today's 3D Bootcamp. Today is gonna be modeling. Super exciting stuff. I am currently a student here at CADA. I'm in my 3rd semester and this stream will be 100% beginner friendly. I'm doing this live and I'm doing it live so you can ask all the questions that you need to ask to follow along. And if something goes too fast or you need something repeated, feel free to ask me or let me know and I'll be more than happy to accommodate you. That's why we're doing it live, right? To get everybody through it. You can get through the stream even if you have zero experience at all. What's up, Michael? What's up, Itmations? What's up, Jan, Katrin? Hello. What's up, people? Happy to see you all today. Alright. So let me ask, are there any people in the chat that have no experience at all? Are there some people that have tried Blender before? First time Blender user? Yeah, alright, nice. I'll help you through it. Did you get it up and running? I recognize a few names too. I think even Itmations, I've seen you around before. Only used it to animate, alright. Okay, so you know the navigation and stuff like that should be able to help you out. You got it up and running, Michael? Alright, that's nice. Okay, so I got a very cute concept today. I'm kind of excited to get into it. So let's crack open the stream a little bit. Hold up. Whoop. There we go. Your Blender should look like something similar to what I have on the screen if it's your first time opening it up. You might have a little window where we choose some stuff, but let's get through that. So for the people that have used Blender before, it'll be a little bit slow in the beginning. I just want to catch everybody up to speed on what we're doing. And if you just want to go ahead and like roll with it, I got this right here you can peek at. Yeah, a little sneak peek for the people that are interested in just like boom speeding ahead. You're more than welcome to do that. The stream is for everybody. Okay, and for the people that are new, actually I wonder if I can just paste these real quick in oop. Hold up, I'll paste these real quick in the Discord for the people that wanna you know, work on it already, and for the rest of you all, I'll get right into the meat of it. Oh, where did my Discord go? Sorry, should have had that prepared, I didn't think about it. So for the people that are completely new, and for the people that are just getting into modeling in Blender, what is it that you guys are kind of interested in? Is there something specific? Is there like a reason why you're getting into this kind of stuff? So concepts. So I posted it right here for you people if you want to get into it in the 3D Bootcamp chat. Whoop. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's get into it. So for the people that have never used Blender before, so what you're seeing in front of you is probably an intimidating 3D software in your eyes. But I promise I'll try to make it as simple as I possibly can, right? So the big box here is what we call the viewport. So this is like your 3D playground, and this is basically your eyes into your scene, and you see, whoops, you see everything that you're building inside this little view here. And this view, like all the other sort of boxes inside Blender, they're all malleable and you can replace them. But this is sort of the default setup, right? So you have your viewport here, you have a cube, you have a camera, and you have a light. Okay. To rotate around this viewport, you might see it on the screen too. I have this little thing here that shows what I'm doing. So if I click middle mouse, I'll orbit around. Okay. I wonder if we can make that a little bit bigger for y'all. Okay. Okay, it's fine. So yeah, middle mouse, and then if you want to pan around, you add a shift, right? So you hold shift and then middle mouse to pan around. Okay? So very basic navigation. So middle mouse, shift middle mouse. And then to zoom in and out, you scroll on the middle mouse wheel. Okay? So you'll see me doing this a lot, and you should just get used to getting it in your fingers because you'll be moving around a lot in your scene once we get started. Okay? So you can zoom in and out, and you can just do all these in quick succession, right? And you can navigate around your scene pretty effectively in that way, right? So, and if you ever end up like out here and you're like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on, you can click the home key on your keyboard. Okay, so home puts you right back. And if you don't have a home key or can't find it or whatever, you can also click hold up. Wait, did I miss it? Yeah, you can click like right here. So you have the view and then you have frame all. It'll also take you home. So view and then frame all. Or just click your home key. Whoop. Okay, so that's like the basic navigation of the viewport. And I'll get into more of how you use it in a second. And left click to select stuff, obviously. So on the right side, we have the outliner, which is all you need to know about this right now is that it's a list of all the things that you have in your viewport. So if you left click on the cube, you see a little highlight up here. Okay, so that's what you see that you have selected. It'll highlight up there. But you can also, if you can't find something, let's say it's like out here somewhere, you can't find it, you can select your cube here and you see it's actually highlighted in the viewport now. And then, you know, you can select it that way and then move it back. Okay, down here is like the more complex sort of things about Blender, like the more complex settings. There's a bunch of stuff, super interesting as well. And we'll get into that probably in the next stream, or maybe a little bit in this stream. We'll see how it goes. You don't need to worry about that too much. This down here is the animation timeline. We won't be animating today, but we have it just because this is like a general layout, right? On your left here, you have all your tools. So by default, it might be put away like this, the shelf. If you click, there's a little arrow up here. It might be a little bit hard to see on my screen, but you can basically click that and then extend your little tool palette right here. Okay. So that's it for like the very basic controls. And now, how do we actually move stuff around? How do we adjust? Oh, Michael, you want to do motion design with it? Sorry, I kind of missed that a little bit. Whoop. Yeah, I mean, motion design is fucking awesome. I kind of wish I did more of that too, but yeah, I mean, Blender is great for that, right? Like, it's free, it's easy to use, especially if you haven't had any 3D experience before. It's kind of nice to get into if you're from graphics, I believe, because it's not super heavy, you know? Okay, so to move stuff around, you already saw me do it once. You can click G for grab, and then you will move it. Okay, and then I click Control plus Z to undo. And if you're used to something like Photoshop, it's the exact same thing, right? Control Z to undo. Control Shift Z to redo. But yeah. So if you're not much of a hotkey kind of person, instead of clicking G, you can also go to your tools in the left side here and click on the move. If you click the move, you get the gizmo. And you can move around this way too. So you can click the little arrows here to move the object on only one axis at a time. Or you can click in the middle to move it on multiple. And then you have these squares here to move it on 2 axes at the same time. Okay, sorry, and it's gonna be a little bit dry for a couple minutes. Bear with it, guys. We just gotta get used to what the hell is going on the screen, and then we can sort of move into the fun stuff, right? So I promise I'll keep it as short as I possibly can. Okay, and if you want to use hotkeys, you can click G and then X to move it on the X-axis, or Y for the Y-axis, Z for the Z-axis, right? Left click to let go, and that's where it's placed. I'm sure that should be intuitive enough. Okay, rotation, exact same thing. The hotkey for that is R. Okay, RX, RY, RZ. Okay, and you can even type in numbers if you want to do. If you want to rotate it 45 degrees, you can click. You can do like RZ and then 45. You can type it in on your keyboard, and then it's rotated on the Z axis perfectly 45 degrees. Okay. If you want to make sure about a rotation or something like that, over here on the left, you can open up another menu and you can see all the data that your object has. So we can see the Z axis is rotated on 45 degrees. You can also type in numbers here if you want like exact rotations. Okay. Then last but not least, we have the scale. So you can imagine what these arrows do. Same thing, you scale on the axis, you can scale up and you can scale down. Let's say you want to make this thicker, you can scale on 2 axes by holding this little blue square, and then you can make a thin beam. Okay. That's basically it to get started. I hope that's sort of making sense to everybody. Like sort of how to navigate this little UI that you have in front of me. We don't really need more than that to get started. As we go along, I'll be adding a few more tools and a few more hotkeys, but we'll take it slow for now. Is that sort of making sense for people? So, what we've learned so far, what I've taught you, is how to scale, rotate, and move a cube around, okay? So basically, what we're gonna do with that knowledge is, we're gonna look for the primitive shapes in our reference here, and we're basically just gonna try to match those for now, right? So if we can find a cube, we'll try to square out or like scale our cube, smash it down if we need to, scale it, rotate it, move it to fit the reference for now, okay? So first of all, let's start with the very biggest thing that we can see, and that's the base, right? So we can take our little cube here, flatten it to what we feel is appropriate, and then we can scale it until we get sort of what we imagine to be the base for this little scene that we're creating. Okay. And you know, you don't have to be too exact about it. It's better to get something and then move on, and you can always go back and sort of adjust stuff when needed. Okay. So try to get a base that sort of matches that. And now we need to add another shape. So oops, this thing is kind of covering. I'm thinking about where's the best place to put it. Maybe here works. No, that doesn't work. Okay, up here. So guys, trust me, my outliner is still there, even though you can't see it. Let's try to get this a little bit bigger too. Okay, so to add another shape, there's a little menu in the top left here called Add, and then you can add a bunch of different things, including meshes, which is what we're working with. So we can add a new cube if we want, and if you're a hotkey fiend, you can click Shift A, and then you can add it from there too. Okay. So let's see. Maybe we can start working on this little chair here. Okay. So what I see in this chair is that it's basically made up of a bunch of cylinders. So instead of adding a cube, I'll actually delete that again. And I'll introduce you to the other shapes that we have in here. Because we don't just have cubes we can scale and rotate and all that. We have cylinders too, which is what we're seeing in the picture for this chair here. So we can pull up a cylinder, and then we can flatten it for the top of this little stool here. Oops. And then we can click S to scale it down. Okay. So we have this little shape here. And now we can add another cylinder. And right now, you know, I'm not showing the fastest or most efficient way to work in Blender. I don't really believe that's a good way to learn in the beginning. I'm just trying to get you all used to the tools and the very basic concepts before you move on to something more complex. So I'm just making this little leg here, rotating it to fit. Okay. And let me know if I'm going too fast or not. So instead of pulling in a bunch of new cylinders, what we can do is we can click Shift D to copy. Okay. And I believe you can also Control C, Control V if you're used to that. Okay. And now we can rotate it. Then we get that. I see that maybe it should be a little bit lower down, so I can kind of do this. And you know, for now we can sort of cheat stuff. It doesn't have to be like physically accurate, right? Like it's okay for the cylinder to go into the other cylinder and all that, right? And we won't even see the underside anyways. So we do this, and now we can do a smart thing. We can hold down Shift and then left click on both of these at the same time. And then Control C, Control V. And now we have both of them duplicated to the other side. Okay. So we kind of got our stool that way. And now we can left click and drag a square over it. And move all of it at the same time. We can kind of move that out of the way. So let me know how that's going and if that's making sense for you all. Is there something that was like a little bit too fast? How's that? I hope sort of the basics of what I'm doing is making sense, right? Like just looking for the overall shapes and then putting them down. And you know, we could do some more complex thing because I think the stool is actually one of those where all the legs are sort of, you know, pointing inwards in a spiral and all that, but this is fine for now. It's literally our first object. So doing that, we used move, rotate, scale. Let me know if y'all are successful with this little stool, and I'll go on some other stuff. I mean, there's an even simpler object in here actually, which is this table. So maybe we could work on that one too. So you put in a cylinder, move it up, done, nice, good job Björn. And I want you to know, especially if it's your first time in the stream, it is more than okay to say that something went too fast, or maybe I should repeat something again. I would really appreciate it, because you know, if you have a question or something, there's probably a couple other people in the stream that had the same question, so you actually do me a favor by asking questions and all that. So right now I'm doing this little table here. So I did the bottom for it, and instead of adding another cylinder, I can just click Shift D to duplicate it, Z to move it up in the Z axis. Okay, scale Z, oops, scale Z, and then I let go, and then scale Z, and then I have that. Or you can use these gizmos out here too, both works. Okay, let's see. Boop. Let's try to do these, what's this called? A parasol as well. We'll do a little simple version for now. Maybe if we have the time, we can do the more complex version as well. So these are all cylinders. So GZ to move it up. SZ, scale Z. So scale it on Z axis. And now if you're a super hotkey fiend, if you remember how I kind of made it thinner with these two, you can also do that with hotkeys. You can click S, Shift Z, which basically means scale on all other axes than the Z axis. So you're kind of scaling like this and then scaling like that, but you're doing it at the same time. So it becomes thin. Okay, then you can scale it up. And feel free to use the gizmos, it's more than okay as well. Some people like to work with those. And now for the top, we can use a different shape. We can use a cone. So right here we have the cone. Okay, I'll use the gizmos for this one just to show how that works. Okay, you can scale it. Whoops. Okay. Scale it flat a little bit too. Maybe I made it a little bit too small. Okay, we can move this down. Okay. There we go, and we somehow have a parasol. Whoop. And we can just select both of these and we can move them over to the table. And you could select them and rotate them and all of that if you want to. Let's just do it while we're at it. And now we can see, oh, they might be a little bit too big. We could scale them up or scale them down together. But I think it might be okay for now. So let's just put it right there. Okay. As you get more comfortable with this, you can always revisit your props and your items to kind of add some more stuff onto it, because you'll be learning some interesting skills as we go along to sort of edit these meshes and so on. Okay, let me know if you all have been able to get this parasol and the table and all that, because we're about to hit the elephant in the room, the big truck. I need people to be ready for it before we start. Yep, okay, nice, done, great, alright, nice. Okay, are we ready for this truck? Or this van, I should say. So, let's just start with a big cube, alright people? So there's a lot to handle here. Yeah, let's get it. Okay, so let's get a big cube. So the thing is, looking at this, right, like, this is not a cube, it's not a cylinder. I mean, what is it, right? Like, it's a totally different shape that we don't have in our shape library. So we gotta make our own shape. Okay, so obviously that's possible. That's kind of the whole idea with the 3D modeling software, right? That's what makes them so powerful and all that. And so we should get into that. And the way to do it, you need to understand in Blender there's a couple of different modes to work in. So right now, if you look up in the top left, we're in what's called the object mode. So in the object mode, what you do is you control and you adjust the objects in your scene. So in Blender, each of these little primitives that we have, they're an object. Okay? So I can merge these two, and now this parasol becomes one object, okay? So to edit an object, to edit the shape of an object, we gotta go into the edit mode right here. Right. So the first thing you'll be met with is this little, so right now we can't select anything but the stuff on our object. And in 3D space, like, all the stuff you see is built out of polygons, right? And that's basically what we're manipulating. So we can still use the same tools that we know up here, we just have a couple more as well. So we can select a corner, for example, with the left click, and then G to move that corner around, okay? And now if we go back out into object mode, you don't have to follow what I'm doing step by step, by the way, just sort of understand what's going on, and then I'll get into modeling the car, right? So now that I go back out into object mode, our object suddenly is not just a cube, it's like an edited cube, okay? So if we wanted like this kind of trapezius shape, we would have to sort of move out the bottom here. So we can click G and then Y to move out the bottom, okay? G, Y, okay. And so right now I did it just by reflex before I explained it, but I clicked the edge instead of just the corner, right? So you can select both these points and then G, Y to move them out. Or if you wanted the whole thing to get longer, you can select all these points and then move them out. Oops. So G, Y to move them out. Okay. So what I did was I selected the edge because you also have these different, there we go. These different modes in Blender to select with. So you can select the edges right here, or you can select the whole face if you click up here, and then you can move those around instead. Okay, and these are all super useful. If you just want to move a corner, you can move a corner. But I'm looking at this, and this is obviously not anywhere near the car. We simply don't have enough points to move around, right? It's not enough complexity in our model. So if we go back a little bit, we can sort of think ahead. And that's the thing about getting good at 3D modeling. Oops, okay, let me just delete this and then add a new cube, just to start off fresh. So the thing about 3D modeling, or getting good at it at least, is thinking ahead. Like, where do I need complexity and where do I not? So I know that our model, at least in a very basic sense, go up and then goes to that point, right? So you can kind of imagine we need some kind of shape that goes this way and then some kind of shape that goes that way, okay? In a very basic sense, this is the shape of our car. So we need a corner here, a corner there, one here, one here, one here, one here, right? So a cube is not enough, okay? This is like a very basic sort of how to work in 3D, like how to think about it. And the tools we use to add more complexity are all out here. And so what I'm thinking is that we can add a loop cut. And what this does is it basically divides your model along the sort of path that you choose. So you see there's a little yellow line, you can left click, and now all of a sudden you have more complexity to work with, okay? So you can take this face and you can move it out, and you can see how that's resembling our car a little bit closer. Okay. Is this sort of very baseline concept? Is that making sense so far? Like, is it understandable, or is it all like alien language? This is sort of the very basics, right, of 3D modeling. We add complexity and then we adjust that complexity. We call it topology. We add topology and then we can adjust that. Good. Okay, makes sense. Great. Okay, let me move this chair out of the way so we can just get to work a little bit. So for now, I'll get the outside shape down a little bit, and then I'll worry about this sort of inside and all that, okay? So I'll sort of treat it as like, let's make this outside facade first, and then we'll go on to the windows and everything. So from now on, just follow along with what I'm doing. So first of all, I put a loop right here, okay? So you can also, just to do it again, if you want to use the hotkey, you can click Ctrl R, and then once you left click, you can kind of choose where it goes. Okay. So I'll move this out. I'm just making this cabin right here. I'm not worrying about the wheels for now. So try to get the shape of that. And then I see the fact that this thing on the back kind of goes up higher than it does on the front, right? So what I can do is, I can go into my edge mode. Okay, maybe it's more visual if I move it out a little bit. So I can go into my edge mode, select this back edge here, and simply just move it up. Okay. And then we kind of get that shape. So try to get that. And then I might see that I feel like this distance here is a little bit too long. So I can go under. I can go under right here, and I can select it. So hold up. I can select that and move it up a little bit. Whoop. Then we kind of have that base shape. So try to get that for yourself. And let me know if this is like, oh, this is going way too slow, you know, I'm already there. Let me know when you're done with it and all that, and I'll keep going, right? Because it becomes sort of difficult. Once you've been doing this for a while, it's easy to forget how difficult it was for myself even in the beginning, right? So right now, I can click A to select all my polygons, and then I can scale them all down on one axis to make it a little bit thinner. And I would recommend scaling it inside edit mode instead of going out into the object mode. And to go in and out quickly, I'm also just clicking tab. Okay. So try to work on your little base shape, try to get the polygons to work with you. If you want to move this up a little bit, you can. You know, I might feel like, oh, this needs to go a little bit like that. Okay. At this point, I see the fact that, you know, I probably want a little bit of curvature, at least on this window, even though we're keeping it simple today. So I can add another loop right here and then curve it out a little bit. Okay, we can kind of do that. So, instead of having this like very boxy shape, we can start softening out these corners a little bit. And for that, we need more points, obviously, because you can't just soften it out with what you have here. So we gotta use another tool. And we'll be using the beveling tool. Sorry, excuse me. So you can see what the beveling tool does is out here. It is also B to bevel. Hold up. Oh, wait, no, Control B, sorry. It's Control B to bevel. And you can use the tool out here too. Okay, you can put a bevel. And then once you put a bevel down, you have these settings down here that opens as a little pop-up in the bottom left. And then you can play with it. So you can add more segments to sort of smooth it out. Okay, we can even bevel this right here to smooth out the window. Kind of get that shape a little bit. Probably would refrain from that right now. You know what? I think, yeah, that is fine. Let's just go with it. So Control B, you can bevel down here. Control B, you can bevel all these corners to your heart's desire. There we go. I can select all of it and then scale a little bit on Z axis. Now that I look at it, I think it goes in a little bit here in the front, but it's alright. Let's just keep it simple for now. So try to get this, try to get your bevels in. Is it working for you all? Sorry, I don't want to speed ahead right now because the very beginnings, they're baby steps, but they're also important. I want you all to be able to catch up and follow along at this point. Okay. How is it, people? Is it, you all doing good? I'm assuming when people are not writing in the chat, it's because they're focusing on their modeling. Okay. I think I'll continue. I'll go to the window right here. True, but done. Okay, alright, great. It's the duality of, did everybody just like leave their PC or are they working on their model? It's either or. Hopefully it's the working on your PC. Alright. Working great. Alright, Katrin. Excited to see what you all have been doing at the end of the stream too. Alright, so I'll go to this window, and if you're still working on something and you're sort of missing the window thing, let me know in the chat and I'll show it again on the other window or the other sides, right? So to keep it very simple for this stream, what we're going to be using to make the window is the knife tool right here. So the knife tool basically allows you to add topology by cutting into a mesh you already have. So you can go ahead here and you can make a square. And now you see you have like all these points that you can adjust in the middle of your topology. Now this has a lot of drawbacks that we don't really need to get into for this stream, but for now it should be alright. So you can click on your numpad to go into like a side view or front view, that would be. You can click numpad 3 to go into the side view. You can also click up here on this little gizmo thing up here to sort of cycle through the views. So I'll click numpad 3 and then I'll go ahead and make my window. Oops. If you see me clicking random stuff on the side sometimes, it's because it's my own custom version of Blender. I keep using the hotkeys because they just get ingrained while I'm working. So I'll just try to do this window shape right here. Okay, sort of wing it. You know, it doesn't need to be perfect. Oop. Okay, that was maybe a little bit. So you can Control Z while you're working here and go back a little bit if you need to. And then you can click spacebar to accept that. Okay. And now you can select these faces. The cut is snapping to my loot cut. So let me, it's kind of doing that, where it's like, kind of like this. Yeah, so with all the tools in Blender, if you look at the bottom, you probably can't see it on the stream, but if you look down here, it says there's a bunch of different controls, and one of them is control to ignore snap. So if I hold control, you can ignore that snapping, you see? It's very useful. So if your tool has some kind of hotkeys, let's see if some other tool has it. So if I hold down my loop cut, you see there's a bunch of hotkeys down there too that you can read and use. Is there a way to adjust a bevel that you've already applied? There is not with the the method. What am I saying? There is not with the method that we're using currently, because we're using something called a destructive workflow, which means that once you've done something, you can't work with it backwards, right? But Blender is very good at something called non-destructive workflows. So the way you do that, you don't need to follow right now, it's just to explain that once you get into it a little bit more, you will be doing this. You can add bevels, doing it non-destructively, okay? So you can sort of go in here and you can add something called a bevel modifier, okay? And then you can go back in and you can adjust it even after it's applied. Oops. You see? Then you can like add more or less segments. It'll kind of do that. Does that make sense? So for the current method that we're using now, no, you can't go back and adjust it. But if there is a case where you know that you would probably want to adjust it, you can use a different workflow. But that's like probably for your second time using Blender, you would get into that, right? So right now it's just the very basics. Okay. So if you do this cut right here, basically next step is to make the window out of it. So you select everything that you have inside your square with Shift. And if you have a lot of things somehow, you can click C and then you kind of get this little cursor. You can just hold down left click to select all of it. And then click delete on your, oops. Wait, what's going on? Yeah, there we go. Click delete. And then you can click only faces. How to perfectly align the, so yeah. So same thing, right? So this knife cut here, you can go into your side of a graphic view. See. And if you start it, there's a bunch of hotkeys down here at the bottom again. And if we look, there's one called angle constraint. And then you get that. Okay. And so you can start cutting, cut, cut, cut. And then let's see. There should be. Hold up. Let's do it up here and then just to illustrate. Okay, angle constraint. Yeah, okay, well, interesting. I don't exactly know if there is a very easy way to do this. But, okay, well, the way you would do it, it's not that there's not a way to do it, it's just that it might be a little bit more than what I would want to show for the first like cut you guys do. But you know, let's say you get like a cut right here. What you can do is you can select these here, and then you can basically like make the connections between them. So like that. You can move this. Hold up. There's a bunch of snapping options up here, so if you go ahead you can click snap to a different vertex, and then you can move it on one axis, and then you can snap it up to whatever, and that's kind of how you align the corners. So if you wanted to align this point to that point, you can move it up, and then it like aligns on one axis. So let's say you're super off here, you can move it up, and then you can align it like that. Does that make sense? So, but it's kind of like, yeah, don't worry about sort of like get the basics down right, and then, so let's say I made like a square, and it's like a little bit off here. Let me make it a little bit more off. Okay, like that. I can go back in, and then with the snapping I can sort of snap stuff to fit real nice, and then I can snap this one down here, up here, and now it's like a perfect square. Okay, sort of, hope that makes sense. So you use the snapping to do that. And then we can make a sunroof. Wow. Okay, so where are we at? So we select these faces inside the window right here, click delete on your keyboard, and then delete the faces. If you click delete vertices, basically what happens is it deletes all these points too, and you end up deleting way too much. Because without this point, there's no line here, right? Or no face as well. So delete the faces. Boop. If you need to fill out a space, you can just select at the edges and then click F, and then you kind of fill it out. You kind of want to select all the edges and then click F, and then it's like full again. Okay. There we go. We have a window. Okay. Hope that's making sense for people. Let's try to get this thing here too. So, knife cut, we go in. We like here. Yeah, let's just go something like this is okay. Then we can just shift select, click delete, and then delete the faces. And I will preface this by saying this is not like this is not a what should I say? Like it's not the pro way to work, right? This is just me trying to get you guys used to the tools. There's definitely more optimal ways to work. So you can kind of cut out these two holes here, and then we should maybe work on this little window as we go along. So we need some kind of bevel or border on it. So let's just go ahead and make a cube. Let's do that. Oops. So we can go back out into object mode. Then we can add a cube. Scale it down. And if it becomes a little bit hard to see what you're doing, you can try these different modes up here. There's different shadings, so you can go into the matte cap. This is probably the one that's better for us. So up here, click the little drop down arrow, and then instead of studio lighting, you can go to the matte cap, and it kind of becomes a little bit easier to see what you're doing. Okay, you can scale it out. Okay. So we can kind of think to ourselves, how should we approach this? How do we make a cut inside here? Okay, and for that we're gonna use a new tool again. We select the front face and then we click, oh, let me actually get it kind of straight a little bit. Click I to inset. Okay. We can move the top edge down a little bit, and the bottom edge up a little bit. Then we can select this middle square and delete the face. Okay, we kind of get that. Looks a little bit strange right now, that's fine. If we sort of move this out, there's something smart that you can do. Instead of worrying about like making a hole here on the other side and like connecting these two together and all that, and then scaling everything down to be thin to make this little border, you can just go ahead and like delete everything behind it. Okay. So you can select all the vertices here and then just delete them. And now you're just left with this floating plane. And now we can use a new tool again called extrude. And what extrude does, it just pulls out like that. So it basically pulls out mesh from a flat surface. So if you extrude it up here, it would do that. And if you extrude a flat plane, it just basically pulls out mesh and gives it thickness. Okay. Then we can move that into place. And we kind of get that. And let's say this whole thing in the middle is a little bit too thin. You can select all of that. Did I? Oh, I did. Okay. You can click E to extrude, escape to like let go of it, and you can scale it all in. It's also a way to do it. Okay. Or you can simply like select the bottom, move it up, you know, select the sides, move them in as well, and you kind of get that thickness. Okay. And you know, same thing with this whole van here. I think yeah, we can select this front side here. So I'm selecting all the faces in the front by clicking C. And I get this little thing, or you can just manually shift select them. And then you should be able to extrude. And then you get a little bit of thickness on that too. And then you can move the window out. And now all of a sudden we're getting to something that sort of looks like a 3D model. Okay. You can even take these edges here and bevel those. Like that. You can bevel multiple at the same time. Oops. Now we can even bevel the insides if we're real cheeky. So we go for all of them and just Control B to bevel all of them. And we kind of get that nice softness right there. And so if you're getting these faceted edges, a way to fix that is by selecting your object in the object mode, right click and then say shade auto smooth, and then Blender sort of tries to figure out what it is that you want. So it's like, oh, he probably wants a hard edge here, he or she, sorry, and the soft edge here. It kind of just looks at the angle, and if the angle is not that steep, then it will kind of soften out what it's looking at. So for this table, for example, right click, shade smooth, makes it look a lot better. Okay. You can basically select everything in your scene and click shade smooth at this point. Are people alright? I hope I didn't injure anyone, or, you know, Interesting. So I had accidentally selected a face on this side too. That's okay. Stuck at the window? That is completely understandable. So which part of it is it that you're stuck at? Is it making the window? Like the hole for it, or is it making the border here? Window here as well? Okay, it's fine. It is a little bit of a complex thing, but it's alright. I should help you guys out. So are you working on it? Is there something that you're not understanding? Is it a part of it that you got a hole? Maybe you're trying to do this border thing here. Is the frame for me? Yeah, okay. I'll do. But the window wasn't straight cut, so okay. So if you have like an uneven facade here, right? What you can do is you can select the whole facade and then you can scale it. So let's say I had like a piece that was wonky or something. Let's wonk it up. So everything is a little bit wonky. I can select my whole facade. How did I manage to do that? Yeah, select all of it. And then I can scale it on one axis. So you can kind of see what's happening. If I start scaling it, at some point it's all gonna be straight because it's scaling to the middle. So you can click Z, X, and then 0, and then now it's all straight. Z, X, 0, and then it's all straight. You can do that. If it's still wonky, okay. So how I made the border was, I start with a cube, but maybe in reality it's simpler to start with a plane. Okay. So let's try to make a different border. So you can start with a plane. Oops. You can like rotate it, so RY 90 to rotate it, or just, yeah, eyeball it. You can also click up here, so Y-axis 90 degrees in the rotation. Okay, and now we go into edit mode. Go into edit mode, select your edges and then fit it to your window right here. Okay, and now you select your plane and then you can insert. So I to inset, or use the inset tool out here. And then at this point, so you just have a square, you put it in the right place, you inset it, and then you can delete that face that's in the middle. And now you have the border, and then you extrude it. Oh shit, that was the bevel. Didn't mean to do that. And then you extrude it to give it that thickness. Does that kind of help out a little bit? So another way is also, if you already have given your facade a little bit of thickness, you can go around and select a border. You can duplicate that. Okay. And then you can give that thickness. So I extruded it and then canceled immediately, and then I can like scale it up. So got it. Nice, okay. Did you get it as well, Björn? And then, you know, at this point, what you do is you select all your corners. You can select them all at the same time. And then you can bevel them, right? So shift select. Then you can bevel all of them. And then you can scroll on your mouse wheel right here to get more of your divisions. Or adjust it after over here. Okay, let's go back to something a little bit simpler, you know. Whew, intense window action, close enough. All right, you know what? It'll be fine, you know. It is what it is. It's all part of the learning process. So, obviously for the wheel, cylinder is gonna work for us. So we just go back to our basic scaling and moving action right here. So R to rotate, Y to rotate on the Y axis, and then 90 degrees. Or you can just eyeball it as well. It's both fine. Okay. Shift D to duplicate it. Move it back. You can even select all of this stuff and then scale it down a little bit if you want. Because I feel like it's a little bit too tall. Maybe a little bit too thick as well. These in. And to get like the center axle thing, you can duplicate the wheel and just like move it out a little bit. Don't have to be too exact with it right now, you know. Oops. Okay, and if you really want to, you can duplicate these wheels and then get them to the other side. Okay, that works. You can see there's like a little top board thing here. Let's just add that. So we're just going back to the basic scaling, moving tools, moving stuff around. Right here we can go into the edit mode, and I'm just clicking like, hold up, I just click A to select everything, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and bevel all of it. Right here the bevel became weird, and that's because I scaled a bunch in the object mode, so things get kind of contorted as you scale in the object mode. So you can click Ctrl A and then apply the scale, so it kind of resets the scale of everything, and stuff should bevel evenly now. Should smooth. Okay. Let's try something new here. For the sign, we're gonna add some text, and instead of modeling out this text right here, there's actually a text thing inside Blender. So you can click add and then text, and we get that. So once we go into the edit mode, when we're looking at a text object, we can actually start typing in stuff. So we can type in sunny. So try to do that. So add text. If you're going for like, I don't know, like a little juice truck, you can type in juice. Okay. If you click F3 in Blender, there's a tool that makes it so you can search for anything that you need, right? So in here, so we can convert stuff to a mesh so we can start manipulating it again. So right here we can convert the text object to mesh, and we can just select all of it and we can extrude it. Boop. So at this point, how did you edit the text? So you go into edit mode, and then you can like go backspace, just like you would write. So you can write anything, right? Sunny, itmations, right? And then you go back out, and then you can click F3 and convert to convert mesh, right? So you make it into a mesh, and then you can go back into edit mode, and then you can do all this stuff that you've done before. Then you can like extrude it up, and it becomes a 3D mesh. Hope that's kind of doing it for you, making sense. So I can move this up. Yep, got it. Nice, nice, nice. Let's go, people. Okay, we got about, like, let's say half an hour left. So at this point, look at what's in your reference. Oh, I was covering the reference like that. So let's just look at stuff and use the tools that we already know to get as much done before our time is up. So with these basic tools that we have so far, we should be able to do most of what we see in the scene. So to speed what I just did up, I just duplicated it and scaled it, and then I can make the little supports for the sign. Okay, Shift D, Y, Shift D, Y. Okay, we can copy this box from here to save some time, move it down to make the little holder. And you know, these boot camps are designed so, like, once we're done here, you all should be able to keep working on your project. I'd love for you all to keep working on it and kind of to improve it, to add more. There's a bunch of stuff to add in this scene, right? Can copy this cube and make something that resembles a seat in the back here. So it might be going a little bit fast, but I am just doing the very basic things that we've already gone through. So you should all be able to do the same thing, just with a little bit of time. I can copy these two. Oops. Over to get some seats in. we can make this sign here. So we can start off with a basic plane, and then we can go into edit mode, and now we can sort of work on this basic sign shape. And then once we've done the basic sign shape, we can extrude it to give it that thickness. But sometimes it's just easier to work from the basic plane and then give it thickness, right? So Control R to add an edge loop, and then we can that. Oh. Can add more edge loops. Just do it like that. Then we can extrude it. And honestly, at this point, we can just copy the sign itself and scale it down to give it a little leg. The thing with modeling is there's so much to model. Wherever you can save a little bit of time by doing something cheeky, kind of like what I just did, you know, copy the sign and put it down. As long as you're not breaking something by doing it, you know, you can definitely do that. So we go ahead and we move the sign together. We scale it down, put it over here behind. Okay, and now comes the palm tree that it's leaning up on. So I'll add a cylinder. Okay. Okay, and then for the palm top here, I mean, doing what we're seeing on the reference is a little bit complex for this stream, so we can sort of just do like a representation or maybe like a stylized version of that. So we can copy out a sphere here, and then we can like flatten it and make it long. And then to give it a little bit of that bendiness, we can use a tool here. Instead of moving all the vertices one by one, because that would be way too much work, there's a tool called proportional editing up here in the top part for toolkit. And now once you start moving, you can scroll in your scroll wheel and you kind of get this area of influence where you can do a soft selection. Okay. So we can give it a little bit of that, maybe make it a little bit thinner. Then we kind of have something that's curvy, like a palm leaf. Obviously it is not a palm leaf, it's just a representation. Then we can copy this around. Okay. Just to be a little bit efficient, now all the stuff that we've copied, we can copy all of that now and then rotate it a little bit. Maybe move it down, we can scale it. Okay, move it up, scale it up. we can sort of edit some of this stuff. You know, at this point I'm not really expecting people to follow along step by step. I want you all to just sort of pick out the stuff that you feel like you can work on in the scene and work on it. I'm just showing how you might do some other stuff in the scene that's a little bit more complex. So now I can select all of these things. Oops. It's okay. Duplicate them, rotate a little bit. I accidentally selected the light too. And then sort of very quickly we get a basic representation of a palm tree, right? It's not exactly the most beautiful thing, but it is kind of like you know, if you look at this from a glance, you might read it as a palm tree. Okay. I feel like the whole thing should be a little bit more droopy. Just working on that. Okay, we kind of have that. Now we can even select the whole thing, and we can go into edit mode with multiple objects selected, and then we can do this proportional editing on all of them together. We can kind of shape our whole palm this way too, which is very cool. And kind of get that. And then maybe we want some coconuts too. So let's get some coconuts. Yep. I think that's alright for a palm tree, at least like a first pass on one. Okay. So for this how should I say it? What's it called? Like a little cover for the window. We can go ahead and we can make another plane. We get a position, and then we can shape the surface on this plane to what we need, and then we can extrude it to give it thickness like we've been doing before. So I'm just talking about this thing up here right now. So if you're working on your own little window booth right now, this might be interesting to you. So we can start out by insetting right here. And now, hold up, we can scale everything a little bit in. And now we need these beams right here. So we can go ahead and use our edge loop tool and cut in. So Control R to give yourself a little bit more control. So cut. So, oh, what's going on? So Control R, then cut. Control R, cut. Control R, cut. It's a little bit too squarish, and then now we can delete the insides. Delete faces. Then Control, just E to extrude, and then we give it thickness. We kind of get that. Now at this point, to make the little supports for it, can just copy this, oops. Copy our little square and turn that into a beam by scaling it a little bit. Duplicate it over. Okay, we're kind of getting somewhere. Can make some stuff like a little couple plates and things that go on the countertop. So let's make a little plate. It's just a cylinder scaled very flat. Oop. And then for the cup on top, I can just duplicate the cylinder and move it up. If there's anyone that's curious about like a specific item in this scene that you would like to know how to do, then just let me know. Right now I'm just using like all the basic tools that we've been shown. So for this little handle, I can use a torus, which is kind of like that. Then I can just move it into place. And so you can kind of see how once I start using all the hotkeys, things can go very fast. It won't let me select corners or edges in edit mode. So could it be that you're in face mode? Because there's different modes up here. It could be that you have a tool selected too. So try to just click on the move tool and then select stuff. Click the edge or the vertex mode up here. Should allow you to click stuff. Let me know if that helped or not. So to kind of make this little box here, it was the mode, nice, okay. To kind of make this little box here, what we can do, a very quick way of doing that, is to select the top face, I to inset, and then E to extrude, and you already have a little box here. Super quick way to do that. And we can fill this with little candies or whatever it is. Okay. We can go in and we can bevel this little candy right here. Oops. So shift select both faces and then B to bevel. Gotta get that. Oops. Okay, we have a little candy box right there, and we can select all of it and move it into place. What's this? Rotate it a little bit to present the goods. Okay, there's a bunch of other things. We can add some of the stuff on top. So let's duplicate this railing. See, I'm just trying to reuse absolutely as much as possible. So we can add a torus for these like beach rings. And then there's a bunch of parameters down here that we can change to make it thicker. There's this radius here, you can play with that. You can just shade it smooth to make it completely smooth. Then we have a beach ring. You can lean it on here. And we can make a suitcase too. Oops. So you can select like two faces and then scale them out. So you kind of scale them evenly. Then I can make the whole thing thinner. Maybe bevel these edges just to make it a little bit nice and soft. Like that. Then I can add a handle to it. So how do we make this handle? It's kind of an interesting problem. Okay, so okay, so I'll just go into edit mode, scale it out, and then I'll add some geometry, move it up. Okay, add some more, then add yet more. So we kind of get that up and down. And this is enough for what we need right now, you know. Not exactly the absolute most convincing suitcase. What we can do is we can duplicate this suitcase that we already have. We can scale it down and then scale it out a little bit, so we kind of get those lines. Okay. So I just basically scaled the suitcase and made those little lines there, and we can move it over. Oops. Okay, there we go, and at this point we're kind of running out of time a little bit. So we can put the stool from the very beginning into place. Maybe scale it down a little bit. Get the sign in order. Boop. So I'll show you all how to take a picture of what you have. We can kind of all look at it together, I hope. That'd be awesome. Okay. So you have these different, so basically what we're looking at now is the view, or like the shading, the lighting, whatever you want to call it, meant for modeling, so everything is super clear. But you know, Blender has a powerful render engine that we can use to kind of show what actual lights would look like. So we have these lights right here. Oop. These lights that we can control, and we can see kind of what actual light would look like. Now, the lighting mode we're using now is called Eevee, which is a simple lighting engine. If you want to use something more realistic, you can go down this tab, this render tab, and then choose cycles. And now my PC and the stream will start lagging because it's very intense, but then you also get these very nice results. Okay, looks good. Yeah, thank you, Michael. I hope you got something out of today, and stuff made sense a little bit. You know, today's model was honestly, I think, a little bit tougher than usual, right? There was a lot of complexity with the window and stuff like that. So I hope you were able to follow along. And now we can see stuff that's floating a little bit, so we can move that on. Good introduction to Blender. Well, I'm glad you felt that way, Michael. I'm happy to sort of do that for you. You know, I'm a big Blender fan myself. I just hope to see people get into it, you know, into 3D in general. So we can copy this slide over if we want. And you know, if we're really cheeky, we can even, you know, maybe put one inside, put two inside, and sort of adjust them. So there's this little setting here where you can adjust the lights that you have in your scene. We could give this whole thing like maybe like this sort of vibe. You don't feel as intimidated by modeling? I'm glad. I am very happy. You know, modeling, it can be really, really fun, but it is also like, you know, it almost feels like math in the beginning, you know what I mean? Like, it can be a little bit scary, but I promise it's not that scary once you get into it. Be like a blue rim light or something like that. Okay, I think that's sort of cool. It's kind of cool. Let's see what it looks like with cycles as well. Nice, nice, nice. Is there any way we can make it a little bit cooler before we take our screenshot? You know, presentation is everything, everybody, you know. Doesn't matter how cool your 3D model is if you can't make a cool presentation of it. Okay, so if you're ready to take your screenshot, you can click this button up in the top right that says show overlays. So you can basically disable the overlays, then you can get a picture of your model without all the stuff in the way. So like that. The best angle, like right here, and then you can click view and then viewport render image. So it basically takes an image off your viewport right here. So I'd love to see what everybody has been working on. And you know, it's always this way with the boot camps, like it's just cool to see what people have been doing. Like it doesn't need to be perfect or something. I just love to see how far you got with it, what the progress is like. Even if there's a lot of stuff missing, it's still very cool to see. So put a little... So yeah, viewport render image, and we kind of get this. Does feel a little bit messy. Maybe this angle is cool. Yeah, let's go for something like this. Viewport, render image. Then I'll just save it like to my desktop or something. Okay. So back in the 3D Bootcamp chat, I'll just share mine. So I'll go here's hope you all learned something. How about that? Because that's what it's about. And you know, if you guys end up watching this on YouTube, or you keep working on your stuff or whatever, you know, I'd love to see it here. And because I always check this chat, you know, and I'd love to see your work on there. If people are feeling like their stuff is not ready to go on, you know, I'll check it later as well, later tonight. And so don't feel intimidated. Feel free to post it on there. I'd love to see it. Okay, everybody. I think if no one is about to post or something, this is some of the stuff we made on the sculpting stream, by the way. Oh shit, there we go. What's up, Catherine? It's looking nice. You got the shining sign on there, that's cool. Shit, I'll get a heart and a fire. Let's go. That's cool. Yeah. That's the vibe. The palm tree looks crazy. I wonder what you did with that. Peacemaker. Nice. That's sick. I'm glad you followed along. You even got the palm tree in there. Damn. I'm glad to see that. That's nice. I see there's a little issue. You see how there's these little black squares on your sign? It's probably because in 3D, you can't have two surfaces that are like exactly on top of each other. So what you can do is just take either the pole on top and like move it a tiny like micrometer, or take the stuff on the bottom and like scale them in a little bit or move them a little bit, just so they're not exactly on top of each other. And you'll avoid that. But yeah, super cool scene. It's cute. I'm happy. I'm happy you could follow along. You get a heart and you get a fire too. Lots of instancing and duplicate special for the leaves. Yeah, okay, cool. I see. It's awesome. Nice, good job. Got a little steering wheel too. It was going fast. Easy to get lost in the details. Yeah. True. And I went a little bit fast in the end too, right? Because sort of spent a long time on the main chassis there. But it was also a difficult model, you know? That's totally fair, Matians. I'm happy you followed along and you're brave enough to post it. You get a fire and a heart. But it is cute, right? Like you got the main shapes in there, you got the sign in there. It's awesome. I like it. The sign looks like a gravestone. I'm sorry. So I thought it was a little bit funny. But yeah, I hope you will keep working on it because that's awesome. I'd love to see more progress on all of your little scenes. Yeah, it's really nice. I think with the sign, let me check. It could be... I think it's funny too. Yeah, it is a little bit funny. Because once you get the legs on there. So with the sign, let's see what it could be. could be that you have it all like double extruded. Interesting. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with your sign there. Maybe I can figure it out off stream or something. Alright, you know what? Super cool, guys. I'm so happy to see all the work you guys put in, and I hope you all learned something. That's probably gonna be it for me for tonight. There we go. So yeah, thank you all for joining. The plan for the next session, Björn, I'll tell you right now, we're gonna be texturing. Yeah, I thought it was inverted normals too, Catherine, but I tried it and it wasn't, because this thing has inverted. You see? So yeah, for next time, can you share some simulations for next time? Oh, I'm sorry, Michael, it is cool, but it's kind of like outside the scope of what we're doing. Would animation or something like that be an idea for the 2D drawing thing? You know what? I'll consider that, Björn. But yeah, I will consider that. I'll try. I'll think about it, guys. But the basic plan for now, for next time, is texturing, right? So we will be putting some color on what we made this time. That's basically the plan. So save your scenes, work on them a little bit if you want, and then next time I'll take you through the process of like how to put color in it, how to texture it, how to paint the things that need painting. Oh, my Blender just closed itself. Oh no, I hope you saved. Oh Björn, I hope you saved. I'll save too, just to make sure. So, hold up, Bootcamp, modeling, I'll call it beach scene, there we go, yeah. So next time, texturing, same place, same time. If you want to, I'll share my file for next time, or you can work on your own and get it how you want it, and then you can work on your own too, and we can work on our own together. That would be sick. So yeah, see you everybody, I hope you enjoyed, I hope you got something out of it. Have a nice rest of your evening and all that. And to be a mega YouTube kind of person, because I gotta be, because I'm on YouTube, don't forget to like this stream, because it tells my boss that you guys enjoyed it and that I should keep doing it and all that. So yeah, hearts up to all of you. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye, have a nice evening and all that.